because y'all seem to be confused. First, you have the dark skin, the darkest type, the most disrespected. Dark skin girls are very disrespected. Needs to stop. And dark skin men are fetishized. They really have the hardest, so stop disrespecting them. Next, you have brown skin, which is what I'm considered. Too light to be dark skin, but too dark to be light skin. They're just in the middle and the most common between black people. Megan Thee Stallion is a good example of a brown skin. And this is a brown skin guy. Next, we have the light skin category. And before y'all start, light skin does not equal mixed, so please stop. There are fully black light skin. Basically, everyone in my family is light skin besides me, so I know. Stormy Ray is a good example of a light skin girl. Both her parents are black, she just happens to be lighter complexion, and she's beautiful. Last category is mixed. Mixed is when you have one black parent and one parent of another race. Mixed does not equal light skin because there are brown skin mixed people and dark skin mixed people. Blasians are a good example of brown skin mixed people. Most Blasians I know are brown skin, not light skin. At the end of the day, we're all black. Not all mixed people are light skin. And stop trying to separate us because we need to be unified. Also, I'm going to have some mixed people, so watch out for that.
What's up, Authentic fam, and welcome back to another authentic conversation with your boy Ayindei. Now, you can already tell by the title as well as that intro that the subject today is going to be colorism. So I've been dropping a couple of videos about so-called black women and single mothers, and I've been intentionally stirring the pot so that we can have some useful conversations. So already, if you're a person that wants to hide behind excuses and you want to be a victim, you could check out now. But you're not going to do that. You're going to hang around and look for something to complain about and something to criticize. And you're welcome to do so. So the reason why I've been leading up to this conversation, and I will continue to talk about it soon with a panel of brown-skinned females, and we're going to really get into it. But I'm going to continue to set the stage as such. So the reason why this is important to talk about is not because colorism is something new, not because people are struggling with the difference between racism and colorism, but because people are struggling with how much of this shit is actually real and how much of it is just an agenda that's being perpetuated. And it is really just rhetoric, and it is brainwashing. And it's important to talk about it because I see that it's becoming a very popular brand of divide and confusion and conditioning for the modern young folk. So the people that are in their teens and their 20s are getting bombarded with all of this colorism talk. And of course, these kids are young and dumb, and they don't have parents, to counteract this mental attack. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it, mostly for the men. But of course, a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be very useful to the women that actually want to listen and get out of their fucking feelings and first hear the truth, accept the truth, and then deal with the truth. Not cope, because that's what a lot of these black women are doing. They're just coping. And I'm going to go ahead and prove it. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it to you guys. And for those who are able to think intellectually, use deductive reasoning, and kind of piece together how this mental warfare is carried out, you'll get it. You will get it. But first, I'm going to draw some comparisons to similar mental weapons that they have used. Okay? So what we could talk about is we could talk about intelligence. We can talk about intellect. When I was young, I did some schooling in England, and their educational system is far advanced than what America is dealing with. Also, Americans don't actually speak English. They speak a broken form of English, similar to how Haitians speak a broken form of French. And we call it Creole, okay? But it's not the official French. Jamaica is the same way. They speak patois, which is a broken form of English. Well, guess what? Arrogant Americans, you don't speak English. Americans think they speak English. No, they speak also a broken version of English. But of course, America is propped up, on this type of national pride. A lot of it is fluff. Americans really do. They think and feel that they're better than all these other countries and all these other nations, and they're really not. They've just been taught to believe so, and they've been taught to express themselves as if they're superior because of how America is positioned as far as the marketing is concerned and the perception that America pumps out, okay? But let's peel it back, and you're going to get where I'm going with this. So in England is where I quickly was able to well, not so much in England, but when I returned to the States, that's when I was able to see how much more sophisticated the English culture was. One of the first things that I was forced to learn in England was proper table etiquette. And it actually is like a course, like it is a thing. It's very, very detailed, and there's a lot going on there. But you wouldn't notice it if you watched English people eat, because it has very little to do with vocal cues. It's not so much what you say. It's a lot of behavior. It's a lot of body language that goes into the etiquette. So English people do feel that they are very, very sophisticated in comparison to other English-speaking countries. And I have to admit, in a lot of ways, they are. You know, most of it is ego and arrogance, but they are much more sophisticated, all right? And they're obviously using the language a lot more eloquently. But because of that, I was able to notice a lot of differences in how people carried themselves, and it was a lot attributed to just simply how they were brought up, how they were raised, their upbringing, what they were literally told, as well as what they were taught, and then what they saw and experienced and what they imitated. And the other kids would tell me, "You talk like a white boy," which I thought was interesting because I had an English accent. So wait a minute, what are you trying to say? Because there's white people from all over the world. But a lot of what they were talking about was the fact that I was pronouncing the words correctly, and that my vocabulary was far, 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 far exceeded theirs. But what I found interesting is that they attributed that with being white, when in England, obviously, the black people also spoke that way. So in England, that has nothing to do with being your color. The Indian people, the black people, the white people, whatever color or shade they were, that's how people in England speak, obviously, because they're born and raised in England. But I found it very interesting that that's what black people in America associated intelligence with being white. So right there, that's mental warfare. All right? Now, let me get into another example, and then I'm going to give you the example we're talking about. And then I'm going to show you how that ties in to how children grow up with that belief system being instilled in them. Let's talk about athleticism. Let's talk about sports. In America, black children are taught that that's where black people exceed. That's where black people are better in sports. And that's the only value that we have is sports or entertainment. So what happens with young black kids? We'll put a paperclip in that. All right? We'll put a paperclip in that for a second. Now, let's talk about colorism. In America, black children are taught, especially black females, are taught that black is ugly and white is beautiful. Now, I just gave you 3 examples, and I'm going to show you how all 3 of those examples are only in your head. Okay? When foreigners come from so-called black countries, I've already told you guys that's a word that was used by the people that colonized these different countries in order to not separate or divide black people, but literally to group everybody of that complexion into one group, so that weak-minded people that aren't thinking like individuals and using deductive reasoning would actually believe that everybody that's dark-skinned is the same, and everybody that's dark-skinned came from the same place, okay? When it is really, really clear to see that majority of the world was originally populated by very dark-skinned people. This isn't fucking rocket science. So I get really frustrated, have little patience for people that say stupid shit when you can just look at who the original people in Australia were. They were very dark-skinned people. Are you telling me they were from Africa? They were already there, okay? They were dark-skinned people. The truth is the dark-skinned people in China were the original people there. Just because they're not showing you images of that and they're not putting it in your history and in your academia, it does not mean that it's not the truth. The truth of the matter is the first people in Asia were also black people, very dark people. And this is the same for many countries, including India. So wrap your head around it, all right? Just because you're dark-skinned doesn't mean you originated in Africa. All the people on the planet originally were dark-skinned. The question isn't where they came from. The question is, where did white people come from? Moving on. All right, so when you have people coming from Nigeria, right? It's just an example. They come to America, and somehow their children get really good grades, and they move on to own businesses and get great careers and so on and so forth. And these people are darker than most Americans. So what just happened here? Is intelligence really something for white people? Or is it something that's taught in the home, the importance of, say, education? So when education is prioritized, regardless the color of the people, they tend to excel in academics. Let's move over to sports. Have you ever been in the South? Like states that prioritize, maybe football? You telling me those white boys aren't just as good as a lot of the black kids in football? Anywhere you go where people prioritize a particular sport, they tend to be like good in that sport because that's what the kids are focusing on, right? That's what they're prioritizing. So again, black people being more athletic than white people, that's not really the case. Yes, we can get into the biology and we can get into the science, and it is true that a lot of people from black countries actually do have more or a higher percentage of fast twitch muscle fibers. That's true, but that doesn't necessarily make them more or less athletic. It just means that they have a certain advantage in particular sports and in particular aspects of a sport. Now, does that mean that white boys make better quarterbacks? I don't know. I guess we'll have to ask Michael Vick about that, right? Anyway, so that sports and the athletics thing, it's not really the case, bro. That's not really the case. It's just a matter of what these people prioritize, and they may or may not have a genetic advantage, okay? Now let's move on to so-called beauty. And throughout this video, I'm going to be showing you plenty of examples of both very, very ugly and unattractive light-skinned women and very, very beautiful dark-skinned women. And that's proof right there that being beautiful or being ugly has nothing to do with the complexion of your skin. Just like the aesthetics of a car has nothing to do with the color of the car. You can get the same car in red, you can get the same car in black, you can get it in white. It doesn't necessarily change how the car looks. If it's a good looking car, it's a good looking car. Now, you're going to have a color preference. You might prefer the car in white or prefer the car in black, but it doesn't change the aesthetics of the car. Okay, if you have ugly features, you got ugly features. If you have beautiful features, you have beautiful features. Now, if you're going to feed into the bullshit, you're going to feed into the rhetoric, you're already setting a blockade on yourself. All right? So real quick before I move on to the rest of my clips, let's talk about how that affects children coming up. So I already told you, in the homes that education is prioritized, the kids excel in academics regardless of their color, right? Because their parents made it a point to teach their kids to focus on education. In the homes where they prioritize sports, if the kids are physically, if they have somewhat good genetics, they are going to tend to excel in a sport, the sport that they prioritize, okay? Now, do you really think that's any different when it comes to beauty? Okay, granted, there's a certain genetic component to all of these things. If your parents had low IQ, chances are you're going to have low IQ. It's a genetics thing, okay? But if you had high IQ, you're not necessarily going to be a straight A student if you didn't actually put any value in school. Sports. If you have good genetics, you could have been very, very athletic and dominant in a sport. That doesn't mean you will be if you did not play that sport, if you did not practice, okay, in that sport. If you didn't play that sport, you're not going to be good at it just because you're talented. I'm an artist, and it took me up until my 30s to realize that how good of an artist you is determined by two things. Not just talent, but it's determined by talent as well as practice. I didn't get that at first. So I wasted a lot of my youth not focusing on art because I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I wasn't that talented because I was looking at artists that were not only talented, but also practiced and became great by combining those two things. Now, let's talk about beauty, which is the topic here at hand. If a female has good genetics, but she's dark-skinned, and she's told that she's going to be ugly just simply because she's dark-skinned, just like the kid that was told he's going to be stupid or he's not going to be smart because he's dark-skinned, she's not going to prioritize that. This kid didn't prioritize education because he was told black people are stupid and being intelligent is for white people. So he didn't do well in academics. This girl was told that she's going to be ugly just because she's dark skinned. So guess what? She didn't take care of her health. She didn't take care of her body. So she's fat and overweight. And when you look at the black community, majority of the overweight, obese women in the black community are the dark skinned ones. Well, it's not a coincidence that there's more obese dark skinned women than light skinned women. Okay, majority of the dark skinned women are going to be the ones that are going to hate their hair and try to do all kind of things with their hair that actually just ruin their real hair because they're trying so hard to get some type of fake or false hair. Whereas a light skinned girl is more likely to be confident to just wear her hair as it is, or just to rock the curls, or just rock the braids, or even do the Amber Rose. Now, real quick, let's make a point off of Amber Rose. Okay, do you think Amber Rose looks great with a short cut because short cuts make women look better? Or is it just Amber Rose is just a very, very beautiful woman in general? She could probably get away with any hairstyle. So if someone comes up to Amber Rose and says, wow, you're beautiful for a bald chick, that would be a really stupid and ignorant statement to make, right? Now, should Amber Rose really get distracted by how stupid that other person is for making a comment that made no fucking sense? How good she looks has nothing to do with the fact that she has a bald cut. She's just a really good looking woman. So if someone comes up to a dark skinned woman and says, wow, you're really good looking for a dark skinned woman. Now, should she waste her time getting caught up and distracted in how stupid that person is? That person's a fucking idiot. Oh, you look really good for a dark skinned woman. That's like me going up to a guy that's worth $3 million, but he happens to be 5'5", and saying to him, damn, bro, you're rich for a short guy. You sure are powerful for a short guy. Does that make any fucking sense? He's powerful because he owns multi-businesses. That's why he's powerful, because he employs several fucking people and he can fire or hire at will. What does it have to do with his height? All right, so there's a lot of fucking ignorance distracting you people and confusing you people, especially the young people and especially the females. Females are so easily like distracted and confused by what they're told. It's ridiculous, which is why fathers are so important. But if you have this conversation with women, you get a bunch of dumb shit. You have this conversation with single mothers, you get a bunch of dumb shit. That's what you get. That's what the feedback you get is dumb shit. Instead of saying, you know what, you're right. By all means necessary, I should be picking a good man to have my children with, and I should be doing whatever it takes to keep that man in the home and keep the family together, because fathers are that important. Yes, fathers are who tell their children that education is important, regardless of their skin tone. Fathers are the ones that tell their daughters that they're beautiful, regardless of their skin tone. Fathers are the ones that tell their kids to keep on pushing and persevere and keep doing their best, regardless of their skin tone. So maybe if we had more fathers in the home, there'd be less black women that are so thrown off by colorism. All right? So let's move forward with some of these fucking clips and just know the point of this is that how beautiful you are or aren't has nothing to do with your skin complexion. And a lot of black women give the fuck up at a very young age because they bought into the lie that dark skin is ugly. They give up on their hair. They give up on their body, on their body weight. They give up on eating good and taking care of their skin and the whole 9 yards. So a girl that naturally would have been an 8 or a 9, now she's a 4. Because she's an overweight, nappy-headed, fake hair wearing, right? Bad attitude, miserable single mom. How did all of that happen? All of that happened from a low self-esteem and not applying herself and not doing her best in all of those areas. But what is she going to turn around and do? She's going to turn around and blame it on being black. So if I have a car and it's a quality car, it could be a BMW, Benz, Lexus, and I treat that car like shit because it's black. I got a black Mercedes Benz, but I eat in it. I drop French fries all over the place. There's ketchup stains all in the rug. I drive it rough. I fuck up the transmission. I wear out the shocks. I keep jamming on the brakes. Right? I park next to stuff and get it all scratched up and scraped up. I leave the car unlocked in bad neighborhoods. And then I'm going to turn around and say, oh, man, my car's in terrible condition, or it's stolen, because it was black. It's because the car was black. Nah, man, it's because I didn't take care of my black car.
So the other day I must have been talking to this black guy and I asked him what his preference in girls was. He told me he liked white girls and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what is it you like about white girls? And I kid you not, this is how he started off his reply. Because black girls are just too... No, excuse me, sir, you must not have heard the question. I asked you, why do you like white girls? He replied, yeah, I was getting there. I'm like, okay, try again. Black girls are just too... No, sir, you're doing it again. You're talking about black girls when I specifically asked you why you're attracted to white girls. If you can't state your preference without having to bring in black girls, then it only leads me to believe that you're not attracted to white girls because you're attracted to white girls. You're attracted to white girls because you have a hate for black girls. I have no trouble in listing 100 different reasons why I'm attracted to black men without having to bring in any other race. Smells like self-hate to me, but that's none of my business.
What do we have? We have an example of an unattractive black girl. And she's having a conversation with a black dude, and the guy's trying to explain his preference. But what is she doing? She's taking everything that he's saying out of context and only twisting it to support her narrative, which is that black men are bashing black women and that they're degrading black women for having a preference other than black women. Well, as a guy, I'm going to tell you what he's actually saying and what she's not getting. First and foremost, she has a terrible fucking attitude. Second, she's overweight. Third, she's unattractive in the face. Yeah. This channel is all about telling the truth. Fuck your feelings. She's not attractive, she's overweight, and she has a terrible attitude, right? And she's cutting off a man, which is something that doesn't float well, okay? Women shouldn't be cutting off men. Men find it very unattractive. I'll say it like that. Men find it very unattractive when females cut them off, okay? Now, the dude was saying, or he was starting off explaining why he prefers these other types of women by saying the things that he didn't like about black women. Now, look at how she took it, because this is a female issue. This is not a black woman issue. This is a female issue. Women have a really bad time at trying to interpret what they experience and what they hear. They almost always misinterpret shit, because unlike men, when they talk, they're not using words to express facts, logic, reason, rationale. They're using words to express their feelings. So she's assuming and projecting on this guy that that's what he's doing when he's actually trying to be very, very literal in what he's saying. Okay, now, the guy is saying, look, I don't like these things about black women, therefore I prefer non-black women. She's hearing something bad about black women, not realizing that what he's trying to say is that naturally I'm attracted to black women. Naturally I want to put my ding-a-ling in black women. But it's very difficult, and they turn me off, and they become unattractive because of these behaviors. But of course she's not getting that. And she's jumping into the victim box when he's literally telling her what black women need to stop doing so that black men stop what? Preferring non-black women. It's a preference, duh. And behind a preference, there's a reason. But every woman explains it as, oh, you could just state your preferences without talking about what you don't like. You could just state your preferences without bashing other people. Dude, what the men are doing is they're using words to transmit information. They're using words to literally explain to you why they have this preference. Preferences aren't something you're just born with. Literally, preferences are not something you're born with. Preferences are something you develop for a reason. And human beings operate on incentive. So if I do something, I get a bad result, and then I do something over here and I get a good result, I'm going to prefer the thing that gets the good result. What the fuck? Jesus. So there's a lot of people that will say, hey, I shop here, okay, instead of here, because when I go here, this, and this that I don't like happens. That's not bashing the other place. That's literally explaining why you have the preference of this other option. And it is based on having a bad experience with the first go-to. The first option would have been this. The reason why I drive further to this supermarket than the supermarket that's close to me is because the supermarket that's close to me has these problems, these issues. Jesus, women, you really got to start using your brain and stop using your feelings.
When are we going to start holding white women to the same standard that y'all hold with black women and tell them that they don't love themselves because they fake tan darker than their natural skin? I notice y'all don't tell white women that. I notice the only time y'all talk about no love and that black women don't have self-love is when they lighten their skin than their natural skin tone. So how about we start telling white women that too? Because they're doing the same thing by darkening their natural skin tone. How is it that when white women do it, y'all don't say nothing? Y'all think, oh, it's just a tan. But when black women do it, they're insecure and they don't love themselves? There's clearly a fucking double standard. Y'all are incredibly disgusting and racist on this app. And it's hidden by the subtle racism that y'all do every fucking day.
All right, so this is another example of why you need fathers in the house. Number one, this dude is extremely effeminate. Number two, he's over here just repeating a bunch of talking points that aren't even true. They're just something that he was told or he heard, and now he's over here trying to get attention the same way females get attention, by virtue singling. Big L, thumbs down. Keep it moving.
All right, man, look, I can write a book on all this, okay? But first, I never stated that I didn't like white women, right? I simply prefer a black woman over a white woman, okay? Secondly, those black men, most of them, keyword I did say most of them degrade black women when they say why they don't want a black woman or why they don't like a black woman, okay? So those black women, they're tired of feeling unloved, unappreciated, disrespected, all by somebody that they protect the most, the black man, okay? They're tired of being under a white woman who's been appreciated more than them for a majority of history's time, okay? So you don't get to sit here and tell a black woman that she can't have those feelings of joy when another black man decides to appreciate them, okay? It's not that they're saying that, oh, you know, that woman's wrong, that woman's not beautiful, nothing like that. They just want to be appreciated just as much as that one. But you're sitting here trying to shut them down just like everybody else, and you shouldn't be doing that.
We'll go ahead and continue to explain what's going on here. Now, this dude right here is another lost soul saying a bunch of jabberish. Again, it's looking really most likely that there's no father in the house here either. Now, what will happen in middle school and in high school is that kids will be kids, okay? For example, you'll have kids calling other kids African booty scratchers and things like that. Yeah, that's what kids do, okay? Kids also think and care a lot about what their peers think and say, all right? This is something that boys eventually grow out of. Women stay in this way of thinking, all right? Women care a lot about what their friends and their peers say and think about what they wear, you know, what they do, who they date. A girl can like a guy up until the moment that her friends say they don't like him. Now all of a sudden, she doesn't like that guy anymore, okay? This is just women. This is how women are. Women care a lot about the collective and what the collective think. The worst thing that a woman can imagine is being alienated. Women can't even fathom that. That's the worst torture in the world. Solitary confinement. Okay? Not having friends, not being accepted, which is why a lot of their relationships are fake as hell and built on nothing, because they're too busy being yes women just so that they can, like, you know, be down, just so they can be friends and be in the in group. Now, on boys, this is disgusting. All right? And most boys grow out of it. Most men grow out of that. And they really don't care what people think or say about their choices. They care about the results, and they care about what they feel and what they're getting out of it. And I've talked to tons of guys who have literally just verbalized this. And I know this is a guy's channel, so I know you guys can relate to what I'm talking about. There's been many a times when you're like dealing with a girl, regardless of what your boys say, you're dealing with that girl, unfortunately. And if you're simping and your friends are trying to tell you stop simping, you know, that's one thing. But as far as that girl's attraction level, if a guy's attracted to a girl, he don't care what his friends say. He's attracted to that girl. He's trying to hit. He's trying to beat. He don't care about what other dudes think. If he likes that girl and he trying to beat, yeah, he gonna beat. Now, as far as wifing her up, yeah, if she has a bad reputation or something like that, that's completely different. You get what I'm trying to say? But as far as looks and appearances are concerned, guys, their ding-a-ling don't care what other people think. They're attracted to what they're attracted to. So this guy is over here like explaining himself and trying to explain why he prefers black women over white women, all this kind of stuff. Bro, stop it. Stop pandering. Stop, dude. Stop caping for these chicks. All right? And these chicks are not protecting black men. This dude had the nerve to say that black women are protecting us. Black women ain't protecting no men. No women are protecting no men. All right. And a lot of times the ones that are just chameleons trying to get the bag anyway. OK, right now the manosphere is full of all these fake ass broads, these chameleon chicks acting like they really give a damn about y'all and about y'all issues. And I'm going to get on them eventually soon, because that shit is just getting way out of hand, man. These chicks over here prioritizing dudes on TikTok and on YouTube for the donations. Y'all stupid as hell, man. Y'all dumber than a motherfucker supporting these chicks. All you dudes subbing to chicks on Twitch. I got to get into that too, man. But I've been really busy giving y'all a video every 12 hours. But I got to get to the people simping on Twitch, and I got to get to the dudes actually believing these chameleons on YouTube. Y'all are so gullible, bro. Y'all kill me. But anyway, dude fits into that category. He needs to knock it off. Just do what he's doing and go about his business. But I'm going to use this as an opportunity to point out how much of bullshit colorism is when women are trying to say that that's how men choose women is based on colorism. That's nonsense. Men are attracted to what they're attracted to. They don't care if a chick is dark as midnight or if she's as white as a white tile. Dudes don't care. If they're attracted to it, a girl looks good, the girl looks good. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay? So being attractive, being beautiful is what makes guys want to beat. And wanting to beat is what makes guys approach, okay? Now, as far as relationships are concerned, the female's attitude and behavior is what determines whether or not the guys can stay. And this is what a lot of women are struggling with. They're saying that guys don't approach them because they're black, and really guys aren't approaching you because you're ugly or overweight or both. And then they're saying that guys don't stay in committed relationships with them because they're black. No, dudes don't stay in relationships because you have a terrible attitude and bad behavior. Moving forward.
I hate my skin so much when I was younger that one day after a long day of being bullied at school, I went straight into the bathtub and I poured a whole gallon of bleach on myself, praying to God that it would somehow wash away the melanin that he gave me. I literally hated my skin so much. I washed myself with bleach, thinking I would somehow wash away my skin color. So now that I'm older and I speak out against it and people just tell me to just ignore colorism, it's kind of a slap in my face.
All right, so this chick is an example of why this stuff is so bad and so dangerous, because she's over here, talking about she hates herself and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, look, I can show you tons of pictures of extremely ugly light-skinned women. Are they like putting black paint on their skin? Are they like talking about I hate my skin? No. But they're getting the same results as unattractive black women. Dudes ain't checking for it. All right? But in their situation, they have no excuse. They have to accept the fact that they're ugly because they are light-skinned. So it's like, I thought light-skinned girls are supposed to get all the attention. So they know that they're not getting the attention because they're ugly. This particular girl, it's a sad. I'm sorry for her, but it looks to me like another example of why we need fathers in the house, because I'll put any money on it. She did not have a strong male presence growing up that was telling her that she's beautiful and that he loves her regardless. The reason why women are susceptible to so much BS coming from society and the media is because they did not have strong fathers in the house. This is what it is, man. All right? When you have a strong black father in the house telling his daughter that she's beautiful, she's going to act accordingly. And she's going to be taking care of herself. And if she is a good-looking girl, she's going to get attention from guys. That's just what it is. If she doesn't feed into the media telling her that she's ugly because she's black, she's not going to develop that stereotypical black girl attitude. Because I'm trying to connect the dots for you guys here. What's happening is when the women aren't being treated well, by their peers or whatever, okay? The question is why? Because if they were pretty, trust me, boys would be crushing on them. And boys would be doing all favors and simping for them or whatever. They'd be getting plenty of attention. And if I'm wrong, please, where's the abundance of examples of beautiful dark-skinned women that are complaining? Where are all the gorgeous dark-skinned women on TikTok talking about colorism and it's because I'm black and it's because I'm dark-skinned? They're really hard to find. And when you find them, you know damn well that they're being chose and they're just on social media trying to get attention. They're on social media getting those followers up and getting those subs up, okay? Over here pandering to unattractive black women, trying to act as if we're all in this together, sis. Yeah, right. Their phone don't stop ringing and people don't stop knocking on their door. If they look good in their dark skin, trust me, they're getting plenty of attention for guys. Don't believe the hype. All right. So this particular girl, she comes off as a girl who didn't have a father to instill confidence and self-esteem in her. When you don't have that father in the house, girls will believe anything that they're told to explain the results they're not getting. Oh, it's because of the patriarchy. Oh, it's because of racism. Oh, it's because of colorism. Oh, men are bad. Men are your enemies. Men are oppressing you. All of that bullshit works when they don't have a father in the house to teach them the truth. All right. So I just gave you Tiny as an example of an ugly light-skinned woman. And this is very important. Pay attention to it. Because it doesn't matter how much money Tiny has, okay? It doesn't matter that Tiny is married to T.I. and they've been together and had a whole, dozen of kids together. Notice that women are calling Tiny couples goals. I want y'all to stop and think about that for a minute. Why are women calling Tiny couples goals? They call Jay-Z and Beyonce couples goals. They call every other good-looking couple couples goals, couples goals, couples goals. But how come Tiny isn't couples goals? Is T.I. not successful? Is T.I. not high value? Was Tiny not a recording artist at one point? Do they not have money? Do they not have TV shows? Are they not in the public eye all the time? So why isn't Tiny and T.I. considered couples goals? Is it because Tiny is ugly as God knows what? Exactly. Women are full of it, man. They're full of it. They're full of excuses. They're full of cope. Knock it off, man.
I don't usually make videos like this, but I did want to address this. I feel like we don't call out enough black women for having subtle colors mindsets. And by black women specifically, I'm talking about other light-skinned, biracial, mixed race, whatever. But the other day I was with this girl and she was also light-skinned. And she was talking to me and she was like, yeah, I just feel like it's really hard for me to make other black female friends because one, they either don't think I'm black enough or two, they're intimidated by me. And I was like, whoa. Did they say that they're intimidated by you specifically? Or are you assuming that they should be intimidated by you or were intimidated by you because you're lighter? So then she started backtracking. She's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. But you did mean it like that because that same type of mindset is the same mindset that people have when they walk into a room or a party or whatever. And they think that automatically because they're the lightest, that equates to them being the prettiest, that they're about to get the most attention, etc., etc. And I feel like we just be disregarding things like that because like, oh, they're black too and it's our friend. But no, hold your friend accountable because those slick ass comments promote colorist ass messages. And for all my women out there who love dating men who only date light skins because that's his preference. No, that's his colorist tendency, sis.
To every black girl on TikTok, I'm here to say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we have to sit here and watch our race and our culture of women be bashed and disrespected just so they can uplift other females of other color. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that when we see a boy of our own color, we're so insecure and traumatized that we don't even think, am I pretty enough anymore? We have to sit and think, does he even want me because of the color of my skin? And I'm so sorry that we have to go through that. You're beautiful and I want you to know it.
I really need y'all to listen to this whole thing, especially if you're black. Okay, so the Willie Lynch letter was a short speech written by a slave owner to other slave owners. He said, I quote, I have a foolproof method for controlling black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if done correctly, it will control them and turn them against each other for the next 300 years at least. In the speech, he instructed a lot of different tactics, but one stood out to me the most because it's very relevant today. So he instructed that light skins get to work in the house. They got occasional freedom, some got an education, and they had overall better treatment. Dark skins had to work in the field. He hoped that this would separate us in the sense of skin complexion, and I think he did a pretty darn good job. Have you ever heard or said the phrase, I only like light skins with curly hair? Where do you think that the hate for darker skin and coarse hair in the black community comes from? They literally achieved their goal of brainwashing us. We need to free ourselves from mental slavery ASAP.
All three of those examples right there were young girls that are in their prime. They're young and they're very, very beautiful. But here they are on TikTok whining and complaining about colorism. Okay, whatever amount of colorism is relevant, it damn sure does not affect these ladies negatively. Okay? The darkest one of them all is still just as beautiful and she gets just as much attention. Okay? But what they're doing on here is getting attention. That's what they're doing because attention is currency to women. So women will get on any platform and say anything that's going to get them attention. They'll go on Instagram or whatever and slap their boyfriend in the back of the head if it gets them views and gets them likes. And they'll also get on TikTok and talk about colorism and fake cry and fake sniffle. That girl is not winning no Oscars, okay? She ain't winning no Grammys. That chick is a terrible actor. Her crying was fake as God knows what. Her sniffles was hella fake, okay? But she's on here with this disingenuous TikTok because it's going to get her views, okay? She's taking advantage of something, trying to get a viral moment here. All right, knock it off, man. Knock it off.
If my son, that I carried for 9 months and went through the pain of labor for, ever opened his mouth to degrade black women, I would hop in a time machine so fast and go back to the day he was conceived and swallow him, because what I'm not about to do is give birth to a colorist. Having a quote-unquote preference doesn't make it okay to degrade and demean people outside of your quote-unquote preference. Just because you don't like black girls doesn't mean black girls aren't pretty. It means you're a colorist, but girls doesn't mean black girls aren't pretty.
Exactly. And nobody is really saying that black girls aren't pretty except for black girls. Notice that women are the only ones that subscribe to this bullshit, but yet they project it on men. This is what they do. When women believe something or they think and feel a way, they project that on guys and think that guys think the same way they think, and guys feel the way they feel, and guys buy into the same bullshit that they buy into. All right? This is why women think that Kim Kardashian exists because of men. Because men is the demand and Kim Kardashian is the supply. Bro, there's no fans of Kim Kardashian that are heterosexual men. Gay men and women are why Kim Kardashian exists and makes all that money. That's who supports her in all her projects and all her endeavors. Not straight men. Straight men don't give two shits about Kim Kardashian, bro. Because there are plenty of everyday women that are just as beautiful or far more beautiful than Kim Kardashian. And also, she's for the streets, and we all know that already. So nobody is interested in Kim Kardashian in any shape or fashion, okay, as far as heterosexual men are concerned. But women actually think that we care as much as they do about Kim Kardashian. Again, they project. It's just what they do. All right, so now I want to show you some examples of how the media manipulates perception and convinces people that this colorism thing is real. All right? You just saw the example of all those models standing together. But you should notice something. The light-skinned ones are far more beautiful than the dark-skinned ones. And it's not because of their complexion. It's because the dark-skinned ones have unattractive features. And what they're doing with that is they're conditioning your mind to think that that's what all dark-skinned women look like, and that's what African women look like, and that all black people are African. And none of that is true. All dark-skinned people are not African or of African descent. And if you really wanted to even say that, that is just ridiculous within itself, because guess what? Africa is not a country, it's a continent. I want you to stay with me here. Not only is it a continent, but it's a continent that has the most genetic diversity out of all the rest of the continents combined. That's a genetic fact, right? Now let's move a little bit forward, and I'm gonna tell you how extensive that is. You can pick one country from Africa, and that one country will have more genetic diversity than an entire other continent. What I'm trying to say is that even in Africa, Africans don't look alike. So how is it that in the mainstream media, we keep seeing extremely similar depictions of African women? When you see African women on the screen, they always have one specific look, one specific type. But if you actually went to Africa, the range is endless. The range of complexions that they come in is endless. The range of features that they have is endless. The eye colors is almost endless. You can find all the colors of eyes that are on the planet. You can find them in Africa. All the types of hair that exist, you can find in Africa. From the curliest to the straightest. From the softest to the nappiest. All exist on the continent of Africa. So why, when we turn on the TV, we only see one depiction of African women? I wonder. This is the mental warfare. This is the visual magic that they're doing to convince you that ugly is associated with dark skin. And you people are falling for it. Women, you are falling for it. Okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and show you what this one particular example of women from Africa always seems to look like. They always seem to look like this. Even when I was a little boy, one of my favorite movies was Conan the Barbarian, and the black woman in that movie looked like this, Grace Jones. And that was like the 80s. So how is it that 40 years later, still they're showing only one type of African woman? Always a short cut, always a masculine face, always masculine cheekbones. What are they trying to say with that? What are they trying to convince you of? And why the fuck are you believing it? When women in Africa actually look like this. And like this. And oh Lord have mercy, like this. But they don't show you that though, do you? They don't show you that at all. Okay? Even Black Panther's woman had to look like the stereotypical African woman. Stop falling for the bullshit, people. So, next and finally, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some content from a dark-skinned black woman that has the nerve and the audacity to tell the truth, to be honest, to actually accept things for what they really are and not the perception that she's given. She's actually owning her reality instead of coping and blaming it on racism and blaming it on colorism. But she is, of course, blaming it on pretty privilege. But let me tell you something. Pretty privilege is a real thing. Okay? Women that are beautiful, they get a lot of advantages in life. People bend over backwards to do things for them. And they get opportunities that non-attractive women don't get. And the more attractive you are, is the more of this you get. And guess what's the male version of that? Being tall and successful and status. Men that have status, they get those same advantages, or not the same, but they get the male version of those advantages that women get when they're very, very beautiful. You know what it's called? It's called life. The expression, there's levels to this shit. It's that simple. There's levels to this shit. Okay? Just like some guys are taller than others, some guys are richer than others, some guys have more status than others, and men have to just deal with that. Well, guess what? Some women are more beautiful than other women. Some women have better genetics than other women. And guess what you have to do? You got to just deal with that and do the best with the cards that you were dealt. Let's check out what this lady has to say.
People are very, very clear with me, you are not special. And then people started adding on to her TikTok trend, right? They started telling their stories, when I go out, I never have to pay for drinks, or guys always buy my drinks and my friends' drinks. So my friends know when they go out with me, they're drinking for free. There were girls who were talking about, when I go out, when I'm on social media, I constantly wake up with money in my Venmo and in my CashApp because dudes are just sending me money. I really was bothered by that because every guy I've ever met, I always feel like he's the bottom of the barrel when it comes to money. And let me tell you something. I grew up being very well taken care of. So I'm always, I talked about it in my Saweetie and Quavo video. And if you haven't seen it, it's on my channel. But I'm always going to be suspicious of transactional relationships where, I never expect a man to just take me on a shopping spree. I'm actually very giving. I'm very, I always make sure I'm employed. I have, when I was young, I would refuse to even get in a relationship with a dude unless I was working a full-time job. Like, that's how hard I am on myself about bringing something to the table. But to know that there are women that just wake up in the morning and go check their social media accounts and there's thousands of dollars in there just because they're pretty, it really messed with me.
Okay, well, at least she's making a distinction between beautiful women and non-attractive women and the differences in how they're treated. And she's also being pretty honest with admitting that it bothers her. It upsets her. It might even make her, angry? So notice how that angry black woman stigma, it does have a legitimate origin. Just like there's guys that are broke, and what do? They hate. They hate on dudes that are successful. Instead of getting on their grind, they hate on dudes that are successful. And before we move any further with this lady, I don't have anything against her. I appreciate her honesty and that she's telling the truth. But I have to say this because I got to keep it authentic. I don't want to hear somebody complain that isn't doing their best. And I'm sorry, if she's overweight, she's not doing her best. She can't change her face too much. She was born with those genetics. She's going to have the face she's going to have. She's going to have the height she's going to have. But she damn sure has control over her weight. So if she's not looks maxing in the department of weight, she's not necessarily in a position to just blame everything on pretty privilege, because there are some things she can do to visually improve herself, which will get her better results with men. If she does that, as well as accept where she falls on the rating system, and is willing to accept a man that is equal to her on that rating system, they will do just fine. And they will probably be happier than beautiful people. That I have no doubt in my mind with that. And her not doing the best she can do with her appearance is the equivalent of a short man not doing the best that he can do with his success level and his finances. Don't come to me and tell me that everything sucks for you because you're 5'6", and that women, you can't get a woman and you can't keep a woman because you're 5'6". You know why? Because there are men who can at that height. Matter of fact, just yesterday, I was at a sneaker convention and I was selling my artwork, and one of the dudes that bought a painting from me was like literally 5'6". This dude he couldn't be any taller than 5'6", right? His woman was about 5'6" or 5'7". His woman was a little bit taller than him. She was fine as hell, had a nice old booty. Dude not only breeds dogs, he breeds Frenchies, pit bulls, and bulldogs. You know what I mean? He also has a sneaker business, and there was something else that he owned. I just can't even remember. So this dude owned at least 3 businesses, right? Had a gorgeous woman, and he had 2 daughters that loved and respected him. They were all there with him. Okay, so it's all verified and confirmed. And he had the best looking bulldog I've seen in some time. And dude was making good money. He didn't try to hassle me on the price. He paid what I asked for that painting. He did it quick, fast. When he pulled out the money, he had a thick ass stack of money. Later on the night, I saw him loading, his merchandise back into his car, and he literally had the car that I'm in the process of getting. Right? He had the Mercedes-Benz GLE, the coupe. You see what I'm saying? So the point that I'm trying to make is being 5'6" didn't hold him back. He maximized in all the other areas of life, and he has what most men want. Okay? A beautiful woman, a family, and a business. Okay? Quit making excuses.
I want to talk about my life just not having pretty privilege, and I want to be honest about some of the things that I've experienced because I want to. So I mentioned my dating a little bit, how I always kind of find dudes that are not willing to spend the money, or they don't have the money. And while I do think part of that is because I'm uncomfortable with transactional relationships, I think another part of that is because men who consider themselves to be high earners, they consider themselves to be high value men. They're looking for high value women.
All right, so you see that I'm hitting you with these beautiful dark-skinned women. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to keep hitting you with examples of beautiful dark-skinned women. And these women have 3 things in common. 1, they're drop-dead gorgeous. 2, they're dark-skinned. And 3, they rocking natural hair. I don't want to hear it. They exist, and they ain't complaining. And trust me, I doubt they have issues with dating. And if they do, they have issues with keeping men. And the issue with keeping men is that they have bad attitudes. They're probably not submissive. They're probably not cooperative. Okay, and they're probably not making being in a relationship with them a pleasant thing that a guy wants to stay in. So they're just feeding into that angry black woman behavior and attitude that has been, marketed and advertised to these women, and they've bought into it and they perpetuate it. But if they acted like the women that men keep saying they prefer, they wouldn't be a problem, because their appearance damn sure is not the issue. Okay, now as for the young lady, yeah, there's some cap in there, and she kept it real at the end. So she capped a couple times and she kept it real when she was saying that, I just want to talk about my life and be honest. Stop. What it is that you're unattractive and you crave attention just like all women. So this is the way that you're getting your attention, since you can't get it through your beauty. It's fine, sister. It's cool. Nothing to be ashamed of, but it is what it is, and I'm going to call it. All right? Stop acting like you're doing women some type of public service, or like you're doing it for altruistic reasons. You're doing it for attention. The reason that women do 90% of what they do, simply for attention. When women get on social media, it's for attention. Sometimes it's for also money, but it's primarily almost always for some damn attention, especially before menopause at least. All right, so what was the next thing that she capped on? Oh, she's uncomfortable with transitional relationships and all that. It's like, listen, no, you're uncomfortable with it because you're insecure and you have low self-esteem. That's why you're not comfortable with transitional relationships. Women are comfortable with transitional relationships when they're confident and comfortable with themselves. All right? So you're not comfortable with it because you know that it's not normal, or it's not deserved for you. Like it's not meant for you. So what you're uncomfortable and insecure about is that it could stop at any time. It could leave at any time. Same reason why women are uncomfortable when they have really attractive boyfriends, or when the boyfriend is more attractive than the girl. It makes the women uncomfortable because they're like, he's not even supposed to be with me. He can leave at any time. And that's more about what other people think than about what he thinks. But as we all know, all us guys know, women care very little what we think, which makes no fucking sense if they want commitment from us. Women don't care what we think. They don't care what we mean when we talk. They don't care to understand us, but then they complain that they can't get what they want from us. That's like a hunter complaining that he can't catch game that he refuses to study and understand. If you're not going to understand the animal that you're trying to catch, you can't complain that you're not successful catching that animal. Learn the animal and you will be able to trap it.
This is why someone like Lori Harvey or Sierra or even a Cassie, they're not role models to me, and they never were. I know, like when Sierra got with Russell, there was all this talk about, oh girl, what prayer did you pray? What prayer? I could sit up here all day. I could live 24 hours a day in a convent just praying to Jesus, please, please. I honestly believe that there are certain levels in society, and certain men at certain levels are looking for a certain type of woman.
All right, again, she is a woman, so you have to cut her some slack that she's obsessed with celebrities. It's really annoying that women always want to use celebrities as some type of example of something, but whatever. We'll humor her on that one. But I do appreciate her honesty in understanding that, listen, men of a certain caliber and a certain quality are going to desire women of a certain quality and caliber, period. And if you're not at that level, you're not going to get that dude. That is one thing that is outstanding about this woman in comparison to 90% of other women. They don't want to accept that, listen, sis, you don't have what it takes to attract the type of men that you want. Stop complaining that you're not getting these men, and stop saying that all men are trash just because you can't attract the men that you want. That's not the same thing. You're probably getting trash men because you're probably a trash female. It's just like Cat Williams said. What is it about your pussy that keeps attracting ain't shit niggas? Maybe you got ain't shit pussy.
I will admit when a woman is beautiful. I'm not a jealous person, but I am a self-preservation person. So, for example, I won't hang out with a certain type of person, or when I was younger, I wouldn't hang out with someone if I knew that when she goes out, guys are all over her, because I had a friend who that was the case. And when I tell you, I used to get, like, one time a dude stepped on my foot and hit me with his elbow to get to her. Not on purpose. He was just moving so fast, like knocked me out of the way. I was nothing. I've been in situations where, I've had to just go sit by myself while my friend is being entertained or entertaining someone, and nobody talks to me the whole night. So I don't like being left out. I don't like it being very, very clear that they're only talking to me because I'm with the hot one. So I would never hang out with a Lori Hart. With the hot one.
So I'm really, really digging the fact that this video exists. Like, I was so happy to stumble upon this content because it's so unique and so hard to find women that are actually grounded in reality. You understand what I'm saying? So she says, like, she's not a jealous woman or whatever, but she doesn't chill with women far more attractive than her because she already knows it's not going to be a pleasant experience. She already knows you're going to constantly keep getting your feelings hurt because guys are going to continually hit on the more attractive friend, and they're only going to tolerate you, which is what I tell you guys to do all the time. When you're hitting on a girl, always involve the friends. Always discuss, always talk to the friends, greet the friends, compliment the friends, make conversation with all of them, because the moment a chick feels left out, she's going to do what most women do, which is just be a hater and cock block you and fuck up the whole program because she's mad that she's never getting the attention and that she never gets the guy. But she brought that on herself, hanging out with a chick that's way more attractive than her. That's stupid. That's like me hanging with a guy that's a millionaire and I'm broke, but I'm upset every time he can afford to do stuff and get into places that I can't. Well, why even go with him if I know I can't afford to do what he does? And he has to keep on paying for me, and I don't like that feeling. Well, if I don't like the feeling of him having to pay for me, then maybe I shouldn't go places that I can't afford to go with people that have more than I have. All right? So I do respect and appreciate that she actually understands that and does what she needs to do to protect her feelings. Stay in your league.
So things that are low pressure socially, where it's not going to be just so clear that one of us is really, really, hot and the other one isn't. Because I've been in those situations, right? Where if you don't have pretty privilege, it just feels like you're completely invisible. And I hate that.
Yes. When you're an unattractive woman, you are invisible. Boo-hoo, poor you. Well, guess what? When you're an unsuccessful man, or you're a short man, or you're a man with no status, guess what? You're also invisible. Oh, so you mean this isn't a gender thing? No, it's not a fucking gender thing. Oh, so you mean this isn't a complexion thing? No, it's not a complexion thing. If you're a gorgeous, dark-skinned woman, you are seen. You are noticed. Okay? And if you're an ugly female, yeah, exactly. Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder.
Just talking about my dating life, I do definitely feel like, as a woman who doesn't have pretty privilege, because when I go out, men aren't like, their red flags aren't up for me. They're not looking for me. Like, their red flags aren't up for me. They're not looking for me.
All right. It's not red flags, sister. Red flags is bad. Okay? It's green flags you're talking about. And I got a video on that. It's called 10 Green Flags to Identify Quality Women. Check that video out. Thumbnail looks like this.
I often am invisible, I'm ignored, and I feel like it's a lot of the reason why I have such a small amount of relationship experience at my old age. It's like I'm not there. I'm the invisible woman. And I also think it's why I developed such a loud mouth. I have people all the time tell me, oh my God, you're so loud, you're so animated, I have to be so that I matter.
So this is the mistake that she's making, but I'm glad that she mentioned it, because it's something that I've tried to explain to black women, but of course they don't get it, because that would be logic and reason, and they want to hide, behind excuses, and they want to be victims so they can protect their feelings and not make some adjustments to self, or just accept failure and that there's nothing that you can do with your predicament. So she's saying that because she's unattractive visually, she needs to be loud to matter. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you this, sis. If you're an unattractive female, there's nothing that you can do to matter to men. Yeah, that sounds fucked up. That's so harsh and cold. But let's turn the tables for a second. If you're short, unattractive, and unsuccessful as a man, guess what? You also don't matter to women. Okay? So what do you want me to do? You want me to placate to women and just worry so much about their feelings and sugarcoat things? That's not going to help them. It's not going to help them at all. Okay? And I'm not going to do that for men either. All right? If you're a man and you're unattractive physically, and then on top of that, you're a loser, guess what? You're not going to matter to anyone. Nobody's going to care. Okay? Now, that's equivalent to being a female that's also physically unattractive, and then you have the nerve to have a bad attitude. You're going to be loud and have a bad attitude and be mad and take it out on other people. That's not going to make you matter either. But this is what black women resort to. They think by being like that somehow that's going to improve their situation. So in other words, you're a child and you want to get noticed, whether it's for something bad or good. You want attention even if it's negative attention. Remember, I told you, for women, attention is currency. So a lot of times when women don't get positive attention, they're going to act out. And she's about to give you an example of how good-looking women don't have to do anything to get attention because, they're attractive. And equally, men that are tall, have status, dress well, look good in the face or whatever, they don't got to do much either because they're attractive.
The things that women can do when they have pretty privilege is just be there and they matter. They can just be standing there. They can do a little laugh and they're the greatest thing in the world. Whereas me, I got to come with the jokes. I got to come with stories. I got to come with support. I got to do so much more just to matter. Things, and I consider those right off.
I agree with her 100%, and it is most certainly not fair. And because I am a man and I can relate to you guys, I'm going to keep on showing you pictures of very beautiful dark-skinned women in between these clips because I feel bad that you have to look at this unattractive woman. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be malicious. I'm just keeping it real. Men don't care if women aren't attractive, just like women don't care if men don't have any utility. It kills me that women act like I'm supposed to placate to them and I'm supposed to pander to them and cater to them just because they're a female. Okay, are you doing that for men just because they're men? Absolutely not. You're talking however the hell you want about men. You're doing whatever you want at men's expense, and you don't give a damn about a man until you need your oil changed or you need your couch moved or you need your bills paid until a woman needs something from a dude. They don't give a damn about no men. They don't care. So I'm sorry that if I don't really care too much either about being honest about chicks, bro, and I have no intention of talking to or looking at or associating with a female if I have no physical attraction to her. If it isn't about a physical attraction or about some type of business.
Darker skinned black women that aren't pretty, we pay like double the tax, right? And again, I'm not saying I personally feel that way about myself. I think I look fine, but based on the way I'm treated in society, I know I don't have pretty privilege. So I think darker skinned black women that don't have pretty privilege, we pay double the tax. But anyway, and by double the tax, I just mean people are already going to write you off for so many things, and I consider those write-off as taxes. So, you go into a situation for the first time and you're a woman, people might write you off, they might underestimate you. You go into the situation, you're a black woman, oh gosh, they might write you off. You're a dark-skinned black woman, now you're not even aesthetically pleasing. And then especially if you don't have pretty privilege, So I feel like I call those taxes, and I feel like the more things you have against you in a situation, the more tax you have to pay. Anyway. So me and this guy, we had been standing in the same place a lot of the time, and he didn't really look at me, didn't smile at me, didn't give me any kind of special treatment, right? Steve Harvey said a couple weeks ago, he's not really friendly with women unless he wants to date them, and everybody gave him such a hard time. He didn't lie. That's a lot of men.
Exactly. And women tear Steve Harvey up for making that comment, because men aren't allowed to be honest. Men aren't allowed to have preferences. Men aren't allowed to criticize. Men aren't allowed to have a type. Men aren't allowed to do anything that hurts women's feelings. But all Steve Harvey was doing was keeping it real, like I just kept it real. And I will tell any chick to her face, if I'm not like physically attracted to you, if I'm not interested in smashing, I'm not trying to make no small talk. I'm not trying to pretend to want to be your friend. I'm not trying to do nothing like that. And if you are attractive and you're trying to put me in some type of friend zone, it's not going to work, because I'm going to break the glass. I'm going to kick the door down on your little friend zone. I'm not staying in that booth. I'm out of there. Immediately. I'm going to get straight to the point, and if it ain't popping, I'm out of there. You dudes need to stop wasting your damn time. Stop acting like rejection over long term is any less, painful than immediate rejection. If she's not interested, find out right away and get the hell out of there. Stop wasting your time to come to the conclusion that she doesn't like me. No shit. You could have found that out in 5 minutes, dummy.
So he sits here, and so I sit here. He walks down a little bit further. He sits here next to this girl who is not African American. I think she was like Latina. She might have been Indian, something. She was like a lighter skinned woman, and she had like this curly hair, and she had a mask on, but you could tell from her eyes, like you could tell facial structure, you could tell she was pretty, right? So the guy he had said nothing to me the whole day. He immediately turns to her and starts making conversation. Within 2 minutes, she had his job that he does, his name. They connected on social media, and she was invited to a party in the Hollywood Hills that night.
All right, so what I want you to take from that is that this chick is scarred by these experiences. That's what it is. This is why I tell guys, don't even bother with angry, miserable black women, because you can't help them. You can't save them. You know why? Because you're not Doctor Strange, okay? You don't do magic, okay? You're not Thanos. You don't have the Infinity Stone gauntlet. You can't snap your fingers and use the time stone and go back through time and make her childhood a pleasant experience. You can't do it, bruh. Okay? You can't change reality. You don't have the reality gem. You can't make their reality with no racism and no colorism. You can't make a reality where black women get treated just as good as all the other women. You can't do it, man. We live in a Western society. You already know who the dominant, culture is or whatever. You already know who they're going to put on the cover of the magazines. And if they put a black chick on the cover of a magazine, she's going to look like some type of Shaka Zulu warrior. She's not going to look like an attractive feminine female. She's going to look like a dude. That's what she's going to look like. She's going to look like a skinny African dude. That's what they're going to show you if they put a black woman on a magazine. Okay, unless she's Beyonce or Rihanna or Ciara or whatever. You already know the deal, guys. You know the deal, right? But she's traumatized by every experience that she's had where she hasn't been, desired because of her attraction level. But at least she's not blaming it on being dark-skinned. Although in this particular story, she's going out of her way to mention that the girl wasn't black. But here's the thing, though. That dude didn't holler at that chick because she wasn't black. He hollered at her because she was attractive. The reason why they had a good dialogue and she was able to get so much information from him is because she was pleasant to talk to. Are most black women pleasant to talk to? Are most unattractive black women pleasant to talk to? Exactly. Granted, guys will put up with more shit from an attractive black woman than they will a less attractive black woman, but that's just men. Okay? And then she finishes by the chick got invited somewhere. Yeah, she didn't get invited to that place because she wasn't black. She got invited to that place because she was good looking. Okay? She was very attractive. So attractive that you could tell she was attractive even with a damn mask on. Okay? So let's not confuse and conflate things here. That dude hit on her because she looked good. The conversation went well because she was easy to talk to. Moving on.
I was only matching with people who were like pizza delivery drivers. And no shame on those careers, but normally a guy that's in his 30s that's a pizza delivery driver, he is what the internet would call, he is down bad, as the internet would say. And also it's a person that doesn't really have a lot of ambition. I noticed that a lot of men with real ambition, like they wanted to go out and become directors and creators, and they had just like powerful minds and hearts. They're also really chasing after a thing of beauty. And so if you're not that as a woman, I feel like you get men who don't have the ambition. They don't have those minds. They don't have those hearts. They're really just taking whatever.
I'm going to go out of my way to try to get this chick to do an interview. I would love for her to come to the studio when it's finished, getting built out. And I would love to do an interview with this chick, because her level of honesty and the topics that she's willing to talk about and expose is it's really, really valuable. Really, really valuable. Extremely valuable. And what she just said about about the type of guys that she dates and her understanding of why. She understands exactly where she is on the rating system. This is a chick that if I ask you, what are you on a scale from 1 to 10, this chick is not going to say nothing higher than a 5. Okay? She understands where she is, and she understands that her being a 5, that gets her access to guys that are like, a 5, a 6 if she's lucky. Okay? She gets it. She understands that. Now, if she looks maxes and gets in the best shape of her life, and she networks and communicates with and meets the right guys, this chick could get her a 7. She could get herself to about a 6.5 in looks, and she can land her a 7 in a dude. I'm telling you right now, a guy that makes great money and so on and so forth. He's not going to be super tall. He's not going to be super handsome, but he could be very, very well off. And she could get and keep this guy because he's willing to accept that that's what he can get genuinely. He could get a more attractive girl, but she's not going to like him. She's not going to genuinely like him. And if he is as realistic as she is realistic about where they fall, she can actually get her a quality dude that just isn't going to be that good looking. He might have a dad bod. He might have a belly on him. He might be balding or something like that. But she can get her a successful guy that will love her and stay with her. Trust and believe that.
You're dating and you don't have pretty privilege. It just takes away from the magic of it. I have a friend who met her husband. I've talked about this before, but she literally said he looked across the room and was like, what is that? Who is that? And they're married to this day, expecting their second child. It was love at first sight. When you don't have pretty privilege, you don't get love at first sight.
Yo, I'm telling you, man, I really like this chick, man. I really like that she's keeping it funky. She just said, if you don't have pretty privilege, you don't get love at first sight. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Anybody that you see in an economic, Kia or something like that, they have a low budget car that just, runs pretty good or whatever. It's very inexpensive or whatever. That car wasn't love at first sight. They didn't look at that car and say, damn, yo, what's that? Yo, you see this car? Yo, I got to get this car. Yo, what is this? How much is it? Tell me about this car. What's the specs? Bro, those cars don't get that. All right, but cars that are 70, 80, 100 grand, 120 grand, and they look amazing aesthetically, those are the cars where people look at it and be like, yo, what's that? Yeah, those cars are love at first sight. She gets it. We're human beings. We prioritize a lot based on what we see. Okay, we appreciate aesthetics. There are people that will buy something that's not really all that, but it looked really good. That's how we first choose things. Just like they say, you taste your food with your eyes first. How many times has someone said, ooh, that looks good? When you order something off the menu, you order it based on how it looks. Ooh, that looks good. How it tastes, hey, that's a whole nother ball game. How healthy it is for you, oh, that's something else. That's all something else that comes later. But what first draws you to things is how they look.
I'm saying pretty privilege. And I'm using it in the sense of you're not a person that people are going to treat differently because of the way that you look. And I'm not. But another way that it affects you is obviously like your work, right? I know that in workplaces, a lot of times I'm not able to get away with certain behavior that other women are able to get away with because people look at me and they're like, oh, wow, she's just got a strong personality. I don't have a strong personality and a beautiful face. I also noticed that women who are beautiful, I noticed that people are just naturally nicer to them. They get projected upon with all of these positive characteristics, where someone like me, I have to work to get people to think about me positively. I have to come up with all new plans for doing something. I have to create. It's a good and bad thing. The first thing is that it forces me to constantly be innovating and pushing forward. The bad thing is that I never feel like just in my own skin, I'm enough to be accepted. Because for a lot of people, I'm not, you know? So yeah, and I also note that when you work in a workplace, with men, you know, co-ed workplace, and you are a woman, you get treated a lot differently if you're considered beautiful. No matter how much I did at the job I used to have, I was never the person that they wanted to run to help. I was never a damsel in distress.
All right, so that's it for her and her clips. Shorty is on a roll. Man, I'm telling you, man, I want her video to go viral with all black women in America. Like, all of them need to see this video. All right, because she put it into its proper context. Okay, this chick even went into the workplace with it. Okay, and she said straight up, when women have a beautiful face and they look good, they get treated differently. Period. People are bending over backwards to make life easier for them. She said, I never get the damsel in distress. Damn right. Damn right. If the house is burning, ain't nobody running in to save you, sister. I'm sorry. If you sitting next to a pretty chick, they're going to be like, they're going to go for the pretty chick. All right. And she took it to the workplace and said that nobody's trying to help her at work. No matter how hard she works, nobody really cares. Now, I think that's very important and very valuable, because there's so many beautiful women in the workplace that think they're so smart and they're so good at their job and they're so whatever. And it's like, the results you experience, a lot of it is pretty privileged. A lot of it is that you're good looking. There's chicks that are killing it in real estate, but they don't know how to do the due diligence. They don't know how to do the paperwork in the office, and they think they're the best realtor in the world. But there's guys that have been doing this 4 times as long as them, and they think they're so much better than these guys. It's like, no, you're just a really good looking chick, and that's a huge advantage in sales. That is a huge advantage in sales, whether you're male or female. Being attractive, being good looking is a huge advantage in sales. But yet these women think that it's all their skill level. Like, stop it. Okay? Bartenders, cocktail waitresses, you know, hostess, servers, bottle girls that do bottle service. These girls all know that they're monetizing their looks. They know. You put a hot female bartender up against a much more experienced male bartender that can do tricks and all kind of stuff. He never gets a drink wrong. He's on point. Still, the attractive bartender, the attractive female bartender is going to make more money than him, unless he goes and works at a gay bar. That's just how it is. And they know that. Everybody in that industry understands and knows that. All right? Why the ugly girls try to get those jobs, I never could understand. You're killing yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot, because you're going to be working twice as hard and making half the money of some pretty chick. Why even put yourself in that position? You need a job where people don't see you. But anyway, I'm going to leave you with this one last picture right here, because I think it encapsulates what I'm trying to say in this video. You look at the girl on the left, you look at the girl on the right. The girl on the right is going to be everyone's preference. She's going to be preferred, not because she's light-skinned, but because she's better looking. The girl on the left, I'm sorry, that girl's ugly. It is what it is. All right? If you were to switch their skin tones, you'd still be picking the girl on the right. She has better features. All right? So I'm out of here. I'm sure I pissed a lot of people off, but I'm sure a lot of you guys appreciate that I'm keeping it real and putting it into perspective for you guys. So it's in its proper context now. Colorism is only what you allow it to be. Peace.